The Africa Brand Summit was established in late 2016 and launched in 2018. Its award ceremony has become popular for many aspiring brands who do great development work that uplifts communities and deserving individuals around Africa. And so today we are chatting to summit convener, Solly Moeng, who is going to tell us a bit more about the summit and how it started and his goals for the event going forward. Welcome, Solly.
Thank you. Hi, Juanita.
So as a bit of an introduction, please tell us about your career, background, and how your journey has brought you to this point.
Well, my first serious job was in end of 1994 when I was appointed marketing officer first and marketing manager for the South African tourism in Canada. It was in the very early ages of new democracy, and actually when I got to Canada, I realized that my job was really a lot more than marketing South Africa. It was really educating people about South Africa, but reassuring also, because you must remember that just before the historic elections of '94, a lot of South Africans left the country, fearful that things what's happening now might happen then. Certainly, and those people were very strong at saying negative things about South Africa. Some of them were married to Canadians, they were friends with Canadians, they had Canadian neighbors. So I found myself in a situation where some people were excited about Nelson Mandela being president of this country, but many others were like very fearful that it was going in the wrong direction. There was a lot of crime, people were being killed. And because I was employed by government, some people would say, well, he's working for the government of the country. Of course, he's paid to say it's great to go there, but actually you guys have to be really careful. So that's how I started, destination marketing, but really reputation management, because it was really about putting things into perspective. My job was to get South African Canadians to come to South Africa. It was to get Canadian media, travel media and other media to say good things about the country, not to lie about what was happening. Of course, I never said there was no crime in South Africa. For instance, you have to give people the information that is important, but also put things into perspective. And there were fear of malaria. What happens when you go to Africa? You must remember that we didn't even have direct flights from Canada to South Africa. People either had to fly from the US or through the US or through Europe and all that. So I worked for South African tourism in Canada, and I was also posted to America. I was based in New York as country manager for South African tourism at the time, after following that. And then I came to Cape Town. I was marketing manager for the National Botanical Institute based at Cape Town, at Kirstenbosch. This is what brought me to Cape Town, really. And then I also worked for Cape Nature. It used to be called Western Cape Nature Conservation Board. Actually, I managed the process to brand it to what it's called now, Cape Nature. It's something I'm very proud of. And so I've been in destination market management, brand management. I've also worked, of course, for other brands that are not in the travel sector as well. I've worked for brands in oil and gas and retail. I used to be head of corporate comms and PR for Woolworths. So branding and brand reputation, brand communications have always been something I'm very keen on. And Africa, because South Africa is where I started, and then South Africa is part of Africa. A lot of times when I was in America, or I've worked in Europe as well, people still see Africa as one thing. People would still say, hey, you're from Africa. I know somebody else from Kenya. Maybe you know them. I'm sure many South Africans who've traveled around the world have come across those things. So perceptions are that this is Africa, even though we have about more than 52 countries that are independent, very different from one another. We still have the same pain in terms of the perceptions that people have about South Africa, about Africa. So, when there's Ebola in one part of Africa, some people in America and Europe think the whole half of Africa is affected by it. So the perceptions about Africa do matter. Perceptions about any brand matter, whether it's a retail brand, a corporate brand, an NGO brand. When people say bad things about you, they hurt you. And they also discourage others from wanting to do business with you. So when it comes to Africa, we know that there's a whole basket of negative things that get said about Africa. And some of those things we're responsible for. The thing with us Africans is that we tend to blame everything on other people. We hardly ever look into the mirror and acknowledge what we see. And at the end, when we do that, when we keep refusing to look into the mirror and acknowledge what we see, we keep misdiagnosing the problem. And when you misdiagnose any problem, you keep trying to apply the wrong medicine to a problem, to a cancer that is elsewhere. So I think that, so the summit is really about to say, how do we change perceptions over time about Africa? How do we progressively get rid of the negative perceptions and progressively encourage or enhance the positive ones? It's by changing the way we do certain things. I mean, Africa's brand is affected in politics, in cultural life, in social life. The way we do things could change in a lot of ways so that people can take us more seriously.
Okay, so which leads me to my next question. So how did the Africa Brand Summit come about? And tell us more about your role with regards to the summit.
So I am part of a Davos, Switzerland-based organization called the World Communication Forum Association. I'm on the Global Executive Committee. And we also had at some point a country branding unit or council. And through that country branding council, I've been to places like Russia, India, Armenia, talking country branding. And then one day in 2016, a friend of mine who runs the Association of Business Communicators of India, ABCR, based in Mumbai, we said we should do this sort of thing in our country, in our respective countries. And South Africa was hurting during state capture, we all know that. And what this country used to be like in the early 90s, people used to love coming here. They used to love our president. People wanted to come here to be photographed with our president Mandela and all that. All this stuff was gone. So there was a need to say, what's happening to brand South Africa? Okay, how do we face the things that are hurting us, and how do we change them? How do we acknowledge them and change them? That's how. So as part of the World Communication Forum Association, we had these discussions about country branding, and then I thought, well, I'm going to do this in South Africa. So in 2016, end of 2016, we decided this is what we're going to do. We launched the South Africa Brand Summit first, but the aim has always been that after 3 years, it would be incubated with a focus on South Africa for the first 3 years, and then after that, we would broaden it to become a Pan-African a platform, which it is now. So it really because of my many communications with members and colleagues from the World Communication Forum who come from all over the world. I mean, at some point we had about 46 countries represented. We had these conversations, and I thought, I'm the best person from that forum to lead these discussions in South Africa, and that's how we got to establishing the South Africa Brand Summit. But again, I have to say that when we started, it was not all easy. Actually, it's still not easy, because some people in government, remember it was during state capture, they were not happy to work with us. They thought this is going to be a threat to Zuma, the president at the time. This is the response I got from official government and a specific official government organization, Brand SA. They said, no, we're not going to work with this guy. He's going to embarrass the president. So, and ever since there have been attempts to destroy this thing, there were attempts to, sabotage campaigns to make sure it doesn't happen, because people didn't understand what it was meant to be. They thought this is just to embarrass us. But the aim was to say, let's build together. Let's acknowledge what's wrong and correct what's wrong. It's not about hurting the country. It's about strengthening the country's image. And then, as I said, 3 years later, now we're saying, let's look at Africa, because Africa concerns us all. Perceptions about Africa. As an African person, maybe it happens to you too. I travel quite a lot. Sometimes you get stopped at borders. They ask you 25 questions. What are you doing? How long are you going to stay? Do you have enough money? Do you have medical coverage? Other people don't get asked those questions. Can you give us proof that you're not going to stay here and not go back to your own country? So there's this thing about being African and coming from Africa that seems to cast a dark shadow over us. And only us Africans can change that over time. It's not something that can be achieved over 2 or 3 years, but we need to change things over time, the way we do things, so that we can stand shoulder to shoulder with others and be taken seriously. But when we keep doing things wrong in Africa, others look at us and say, you see, those Africans, they keep getting it wrong. We have to change. The solutions for Africa lie with us Africans.
Thank you. And it's come through now. What my next question is, you've actually answered some of it in the last two answers, but if you can just elaborate a little bit more on what drives your passion for this project.
Look, I'm passionate about Africa, okay, and I'm passionate about Africa because in South Africa and the rest of the continent, because I think there's a potential that is not being utilized, that is not given the space it needs to shine. Africa can shine, South Africa can shine. But as a brand person, I also look at this and from a brand perspective. And I always start by saying that every brand needs needs three things, four things. The first one, it must have a vision. Where are you going with this? So in 1994, we knew where we were going with South Africa. We had a good sense of what kind of country we wanted to build, as opposed to the country we had before during apartheid. You have to have a set of values. What are the values? If you read the preamble to the South African Constitution, it tells you who South African will all belong. This country belongs to all of us. No one is more South African than other South Africans. And we have to, because of the pain of yesterday, we have to heal together. We have to embrace what we need, levels of empathy and all that. So we need a vision, we need a set of values. We also need leadership. And leadership is important because any brand, you can take a company, an NGO, a family, a church group, any brand that has bad leaders always goes in the wrong direction. If you think of Mandela leading South Africa, he was filled with emotional intelligence, empathy, balance, maturity. He wasn't there for one group of South Africans. He was there for all of us. And unfortunately, after Mandela died and left the presidency, we've never really had a leader who brings us. We're such a diverse country. You need a leader who's able to reach out and touch everybody, not the one who keeps saying, this is my people and the others are not my people. Then you kill this country. So leadership is important. Vision is important. Values are important. What is right, you have to be clear about what's right or what's wrong. And you have to be clear about what you do when the thing that is not right happens. And so, right now, we live in a country where so much wrong happens and nothing happens about it. And that's wrong. Okay. And the fourth thing you need is to have a sense of like a 360-degree view of your brand. In other words, no brand lives in a vacuum, including country brands. We live in a world where we are able to see what's happening in Russia, in China, in other parts of Africa, and we can learn from those things. We can see the threats, we can see the opportunities. We have to create international relations with other people. We have to reach out, help, play a role in a community of nations. That's why you need to have, as a country brand, you need to, even if it's a corporate brand, you need to have to know what is going on in your sector. What are the things that are working? What are the things that are not working? What is your competition doing, etc. So as a country brand, say you take South Africa, we are competing for FDI, for foreign direct investments. We're competing for tourism, business tourism and leisure tourism. We're competing for rare skills. We want people to come here who have skills that we don't have in South Africa to make this country great. Most countries in Europe, America, Canada, they thrive because they attract the best of skills from across the world. So we have to create conditions for those, right? So we have to really constantly be competing. And when we don't have a choice. We're competing all the time for all these things. The question is, are we positioned adequately to attract the best of the best? And the question is not. We're not. And then the summit is really about then what do we do about that? Where are we weak? Now, in terms of the theme of the Africa Brand Summit in 2020, we're saying Africa is a net importer of food crops. It's not normal. Okay, Africa should be a net exporter of food crops. We should also be self-reliant. We should be producing so much food in Africa that we're sending more. We're selling more outside to the outside world. But it's not so something is wrong in the way we do things. What do we need? What kind of skills do we need? What kind of investments do we need? What kind of technologies do we need? And what kind of policies do we need to turn the things around, to make South Africa, the whole thing of the integrated African development, economic development, how do we make it real without changing the way we do it, without putting the right skills, the right technologies, the right policies, the right investments in the right places? So these are kind of conversations that we're going to have. But we can't have these conversations without talking about social justice issues. It's important. We can't talk about politics. How do South African politics, not just South Africa, African politics, impact or inform perceptions about Africa? How the way we do business in Africa sends a message. So everything that we do we're almost part of every sector is part of an ecosystem, of an African ecosystem. How do we make sure that the African ecosystem functions optimally to make Africa stand among the best? That's what the summit is about. I'm very passionate about Africa because I think we have the potential to become whom we can be if we do the right things. Right now, we are doing too many wrong things.
Mm. And then now with the whole clicks debacle, I know you've previously spoken about this in the media. How do you feel this kind of attention affects brands in general and in Africa?
Well, I mean, I don't think that hurts Africa in that much. If you go anywhere in the world, there are sensitivities, there are local sensitivities. I always give the example of, you can go to Saudi Arabia and start selling pork all over the place. People are going to get upset with you, right? So in South Africa specifically, we have a very, very unhappy history with race issues. Race is our fault line, it's our biggest weakness. If you shout racist in a room filled with South Africans, you're probably going to end up with a stampede, right? So the makers of brand communications, as advertisements are part of brand communication, they have to be mindful of local sensitivities. It's not just race issues. It could be gender identity issues. It could be religious issues, cultural issues. There's a whole lot of things. It doesn't mean that brands mustn't communicate, but brands need to be very, very careful how they address issues, messages, what kind of things they put into markets where they operate, because there are sensitivities, and indeed those things are not unique to South Africa. So I do not think that the clicks matter, will in the long term hurt South Africa or Africa. I believe that it's been sorted. People have to be more sensitive. I think we live in a world that is increasingly diverse. You need to have teams that are diverse. I think that if you run a company or any corporation where the team is all white, all black, all Muslim, all Indian, or all women, or you are the more poorer. The more you have diversity, not just in skin color or nose type, but in thinking. Different individuals bring different perspectives, as it were, to a team. So by the time you work as a team and you put something out there, if that thing is a product of serious team contribution, it becomes better, it becomes a winning product. But if you have teams that look picture perfect through diversity, but in the room, some of them don't have the space they need in order to express their dissenting views, then you're going to end up making the kind of mistakes that were made by clicks. So I think diversity is important. We have to embrace diversity, not just for quotas, not just for BEE levels and to look good on pictures, because it makes sense. It makes sense. If you have a lady there and you're discussing it in a room filled with men, let her speak. If you have someone who's either gay, lesbian, intersex, bisexual, or queer, give them the space to express themselves. The more voices, the more perspectives we have in any room, any planning room, the richer the outcome is going to be.
Yeah. And then looking to the future, what would be your goal with regard to the AfricaBrandSummit, the way you wish brands and companies engage with the communities in Africa, and then just in general, going forward, your vision for the summit?
Yeah. Look, first of all, the Africa Brand Summit isn't meant to be in South Africa all the time. It's a regional event, so it's a pity because COVID-19 stopped us. But we're still going to issue host city bids, invite cities from across the continent to say whether they want to host it. So far, we had Kigali, Rwanda, Nairobi, Kenya, and Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, who have indicated interest to bid to host the Africa Brand Summit. Over time, we don't want to have the same conversations over and over again. So every Africa Brands Summit has a report with strong recommendations, and we make sure that reports, we can't force people to do things, we can recommend them. We can say, these are the things that we've identified as problems. In order to solve this and this and this, please take into account these things. When you're going to put your investments, your policies, invest in technology, these are the things that we would like you to think about. So we want the Africa Brand Summit to be seen as, to be recognized over time as a platform that makes these strong recommendations about how to improve. And we want to be able to look back and say, well, this is what we recommended last year, 2 years ago. Where are we with that? Who is supposed to be acting on those? But we also want to be positioned as a platform to assist destinations, whether it's cities or regions or countries, in managing their destination reputation. We want to give advice to, this is how you run this. If you do this, it's not going to work for you. If you want to attract tourism, if you want to attract investments, students, foreign students who pay fees to come to universities, these are the sort of things that we need in place. So this is how we want to position the summit, as an annual event accompanied by a very researched, informed advisory service for destinations to manage their reputation.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, for your time. The 2020 Africa Brand Summit is hosted in early October from the 5th through the 8th as a virtual and in-person hybrid event. The core event will happen on Wednesday the 7th and Thursday the 8th. So check the Bizcommunity website for more details. Thank you, Solly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Juanita. I appreciate it. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.